listen to their let me generally say knowledge base about their experiences and just some of the things they have learned in the years that they have actually endeavored and begun their careers in tech. So feel free, before we actually get into our fireside chat, we're going to have a few moments to just lightly engage and interact with the panelists before they come up front. But before we get to have them in, maybe just a few house rules. For those who would like the restroom, if you're not familiar with the Bongo Hive space, as you come in from the main door, for the gents, we have the restroom at your immediate left as you get in from the entrance. And then for the ladies, right opposite the restrooms for the gents, we have the stairs that take you to the first floor. And as you go through the corridor, just at the far right is a door that takes you to the restrooms. That's for the ladies. Please take note. And if you feel thirsty, want to quench your thirst, we have some water provided in the kitchen. Feel free to get a glass of water there. We have a dispenser, and if you need help, you can just reach out to any of the Bongo Hive staff and you'll be able to get what you need. So, in a short time, we're going to have somebody come through to talk about the Hive co-working space, if you've not heard about it. But at this point, Farron will just usher in the panelists, and then you have a chance to have a conversation with them. Have a fruitful evening.
Hi, how are you? I'm back again. Welcome to the Hive once more. Yeah, so, yeah, welcome to the Hive. Yeah, so I mentioned my name is Cholwe. I'm the community associate here. So, I'm head of co working. So, I want to talk about what we do here, only the co working side. Yeah, so seeing your beautiful faces and handsome faces is nice. Yeah, so it would be nice to have you here. It would be nice to have you here and have you working here once in a while or always. So we do have offices that we have for rent. So you can rent out offices here. You can rent out a desk for as little as a day to long term, 6 months, 1 year. We also have boardrooms and meeting rooms that come with projectors, and we are very fairly priced. Yeah. So I hope you enjoy your stay at the Hive. We hope to see you more with the upcoming events. We hope to see your faces more. We hope you enjoy this. Ask more questions, learn more. Yeah. And network. Talk to somebody. Someone may know something that you want. Like you know me now. I hire out officers. So yeah, I'm your plug. Yeah. So enjoy this event. Yeah.
All right, all right. So we have a representative from the Women in Technology Network. As you may be aware, we are having this event in collaboration. That's Bongo Hive and Women in Technology Network. So it would just be great to know a bit about what Bongo Hive does and what the Women in Technology Network does as well. And so we're going to have the chairperson from the Women in Technology Network to just share what they do and some of the opportunities that they may be having that you could partake of. So I welcome the chairperson for the Women in Technology Network to just tell us about what the network is about.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I guess we need to learn to speak off the hip, huh? I was even teasing with the ladies here, like, oh, okay. I was not quite prepared, but In this world, we always have to be prepared, isn't it? We're talking. Is this on? Is it? Is it? Okay, right. So, Women in Technology with Network is an association that was registered last year in April 2022. It consists of a grouping of women and young ladies who are in ICT. Oh, basically information technology. We're trying to drop the communication part of it so that we really focus on the IT part of it. And it's a diverse group of women with experience, with passion, with, you know, great achievements in the IT, sector. So we came together from different industries. And fortunately, it's a case when it's time, it's time. And it was the time for us to come together and start talking the same language. Why did we come together? Because we, first of all, we realized that there was no network that you could find for IT, for women in IT. Whenever you'd ask yourself, do I know any woman in IT? Where do I find that woman in IT? So there was no deliberate effort previously where you could actually, find a woman, women in IT, network. So we got together and the time was perfect and it happened last year 2022. So what is our aim? What is our objective of coming together? Number one, yes, networking. We realize that the men are very, very good at networking. They network in the bars. Most of the times, we women from work, we go home. And you find that, there's, you basically know, no, very, very few women. You probably know the next person, one, two, three people, and that's it. And obviously, because we spend most of the time in the workplace, we spend more time in the workplace and at home. We're also looking at advancing ourselves in our careers. The men make good deals in the work in the bars, okay? And now we're saying, okay, fine. If I were to progress as a woman, who can I network with? Where can I get a mentor? Someone to help me on this path, okay? And who can I mentor as well? So there were all those questions that really came up, and that was one of the main reasons, networking. Secondly, we also realized that the girls as well need encouragement. The girls in school, the young ladies in the universities, they need encouragement, to pursue a career in IT. And the good thing is that we do have a lot of women who have massive years of experience in IT. It would be a great shame if we all retire and not make an impact, in our society. So one of the things is also providing mentorship. We're providing mentorship to the young women, to the girls, and our aim is to work with the girls in schools, encourage them, show them that there are women on their 2 feet who've actually have taken up technology, careers, and it's possible because more than half the times you sit. I'm sure some people will sit back and say, "No, but how can I do this?" So we all have individual journeys, individual stories to share with everyone to encourage the young girls, to tell them that it is possible for you to pursue a career in IT. And we're here to help them, we're here to encourage them. And of course, it hasn't been easy. There are real challenges, ladies and gentlemen, in the workplace when it comes to women in technology. And those are some of the objectives that we are also taking upon ourselves to also tackle the challenges. Career progression when it comes to women in the workplace is very slow. There are very, very few women on the board. I know that's not the end of everything, but the reality is that there are very few women who are sitting on the boards. Secondly, there are very few women in executive positions. The statistics that we did, even just in middle management, we are looking at a meager 7% of women in middle management. The rest, are below management. I think it's time to make a change. It's time to be part and parcel of decision making in the workplace. If we all took part in decision making, it would be a dynamic workplace. We would make innovative decisions as well, together with the men. We're not saying men, we're not going to work with you. We're going to work with the men. Okay, we also have brains. We also have something to bring to the table. So those are one of the objectives that we have as women in technology. So there's so many other plans that we have apart from having webinars. We also plan to visit schools, as I said already, to talk to the girls, encourage the girls to also have programs such as hackathons as well. So there's so much that we have, in store. We want to work with everyone who is interested. We want to partner with, um, parties who are also interested in the same thing that we're interested in. So we're here to stay, and we can see this growing for a very long time to come. So, in a nutshell, this is Women in Technology. And we'll definitely invite all of you when we're launching our Women in Technology. We will not do a quiet launch, we'll make big noise so that people know that we're here. As a matter of fact, before I end, we have close to 200 members on our database of women who've actually joined. And we have not marketed per se. It's just that once women get wind of what's happening, there's a Women in Technology Association. They are just coming to, to join. So last but not the least, yes, we do have challenges, and we're going to tackle those challenges together and together with the men as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. It's really nice to know that we actually have players in the ecosystem who are pushing for representation of females. I think we all know by being present in this place that we have very few women who are taking up roles in the IT field, and there are challenges. For others, it's just misconceptions, and that is why we're having this discussion. And we're hoping at the end of it, we get a chance to actually open up and have an understanding of how each and every person can actually be an asset to the next person that comes, so that they pave a smoother way for them to just go through the IT field and make it feel like an interesting career, like any other career. So at this point, I will just give a brief introduction of our panelists. I have a very beautiful bio here. Let me say beautiful bios, just for you to get to know them, for those who are meeting them for the very first time. So for our first speaker, we have the Regional Chief Information Security Officer of UBA. So she has more than 10 years of experience as a skilled information security professional. She moved up from providing IT technical support to assuming a leadership position as a regional information security officer for a multinational Pan-African financial services group. Her wide ranging expertise covers a variety of tech related fields, including risk management, business continuity, data protection, and information security awareness. At the ninth Africa Bank Summit 2022, which was held in Johannesburg, South Africa, she was honored as a member of the influential League of FinTech Leaders for her invaluable contributions to the FinTech industry. She won the respect of her peers and business experts with her thought-provoking presentation on FinTech strategies for the future of SADC's BFSI industry. Beyond her work, she is an adrenaline junkie who is always looking for new challenges and adventures to push her limits. In addition to her other endeavors, she co-hosts a cybersecurity podcast called Honeypot Chats, and that aims to make cybersecurity understandable for the average person. With her remarkable track record of success and unwavering commitment, she's still committed to fostering excellence in the technology sector. Please help me welcome, even though she's already on the stage, Matambila Karima. And for our second speaker, so she is the head of digital transformation and innovation at Stanbic Bank. So she's responsible for leading and delivering digital transformation through digital strategy development and implementation by encompassing innovation, partnerships, and change management strategies for Stanbic Bank. Delivering client-centered cutting-edge solutions via partnerships and internal resources while fostering internal transformation through the use of technology and data. She has developed and implemented successful business strategies for close to 20 years. Her career has spanned a variety of sectors, including financial services, international NGOs, IT solutions, and telecommunications. Her areas of expertise include business agility, agile project delivery, systems thinking, digital change management, and innovation. She is also skilled in the transformation of both digital and physical businesses. Her credentials include a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, an MBA, and an MTech in Project Management. She has additional certifications in innovation, digital transformation, and agile project management. So she has a strong conviction that technology will continue to play a pivotal role in transforming humanity. She is passionate about empowering women and girls to use technology and is proud to be a woman in the field. Another round of applause, everybody, for Yaza Kara. So I'm sure with the information that we have about our speakers, I believe we're confident that we'll take the most out of the conversation. So we'll have a segment for Q&A. For all the questions that you have at this moment, we'll have a conversation just to hear from them about their experiences. But if you have any questions, burning questions that come up, unfortunately, I may not be able to allow you to ask them now. But feel free to take note of them, and then during the Q&A session, you have the opportunity to just engage with them directly. Hello, my wonderful speakers. Awesome. So we have a guided conversation here. And please, again, I'll remind you, do not forget to take note in case you are so drowned into the knowledge that you'll be getting. Those questions will be very important to just have a wider area of the knowledge that we get out from them today. So for my first question for both Tambi and Yaza, I'll start with Tambi. So what inspired you to pursue a career in technology and innovation? And what challenges did you face along the way?
Okay, thank you. Um, Mine started when I was very young. I think I might have been like 7, 8 years old. And it started with my dad. My dad's an engineer, but then he's always had an interest in technology. And so I somewhat learned from him very young. Then when I got into high school, we did have some computer courses, but it wasn't anything that was geared towards having a career in computing or in tech rather. And so through high school, I didn't really think about tech at all until after I left high school. And so that's how I got into tech. I did a diploma in software development, didn't like it. And programming is my But all these things, they literally helped me to become who I am today, and just also just try and make sure that I help the next person out because I've walked that journey, and just to make sure that everyone knows that you're not alone. everyone's been there, and how can we move on from that? So yeah.
Interesting. Thank you so much for that wonderful experience that you have shared with us. So Yaza, the same question targeted to you. Just like to hear what your experiences have been.
Thanks, Zoe. Joey. Thanks, Zoe, and good evening, everyone. My story, okay, I've always been good at maths and sciences, even from when I was a little girl. It was easy for me. And probably because my dad is a civil engineer, my mom was an architect. And they never told us any boundaries. It didn't matter, oh, because you're a girl, you can't do this. I think secretly my dad wanted me to be a civil engineer as well. So I think that's why he was pushing, and he was just encouraging, and wasn't two-faced that I liked maths and sciences. So I found it easy, primary school, high school. And even in high school, I was really good at biology, physics, and so on. And I figured, okay, I think I'm going to be a doctor. That's what I want to do. So I wanted to be a doctor even after high school. But then I have younger brothers, and every time they'd hurt themselves, I figured, I don't like blood. I don't think I can do this doctor thing. So that's when I asked my dad, and my dad has been quite pivotal in my journey. And we have chats even today. We have very free chats, and I'm really grateful for that. So we had a chat, and he says, there's these things, these computer things. Well, I think they sound a bit interesting. Why don't you go for that? And that was literally the chat. And I was like, okay, let me try. Let me try computing. And that's what I went into university doing. So I majored in computer science and statistics. Ironically enough, I enjoyed statistics more than computer science. So I don't know how I ended up in computer science. But anyway, yeah, so here I am. I absolutely love technology. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. However, I've been through honestly, it's been a hard journey. As much as I've loved it, it's been difficult. And some of the challenges is always trying to prove yourself, always trying to prove that you're competent. From even the time when I was at university, you're in a class. There were four of us in that class, four women in that class, and there was 30 or 40 guys. So you're always proving yourself. Like Tambi, there was programming. I didn't like it either. So yeah. So but you have to prove yourself because you have these end of the program project. So you have to always prove yourself. When you're in the boardroom, you have to prove yourself. It gets tiring at some point, but it's something that we have to keep doing as women. So we have to keep proving the competency. And for me, that's one of the challenges I keep going through, and it keeps happening. But we are where we are today, and I wouldn't want to have it any other way. So that's my journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Yaza. And I think from both of your experiences, as you have highlighted the challenges, I know usually when you go through something, somebody else has gone through it before, and maybe the journey that you have been through and the challenge that you have faced, there's a possibility that somebody else might face them because that's a reality. But what encouragement would you have to give to women who are pursuing and are looking to pursue careers in technology and innovation? I'll start with you, Yaza.
Thank you. When I started my career, there was no one to look up to. Absolutely no one. So you feel, first of all, that you're so alone. So to encourage women in technology, first of all, we have the Women in Technology Network. Join us. Your world will change. I assure you. We have this network of women, and I'll give you an example of just today what has happened. So there's an intern. Somebody is posted in the chat internship for a woman doing cybersecurity. Okay, I think I'm the one who posted the next one about two software developers. Women are encouraged to apply. So this is happening today. Can you imagine what's going to happen in a year? In 2 years? In 5 years? We'll be unstoppable, honestly. So to encourage women, young women, first of all, start doing the STEM subjects at a young age. Start enjoying them. Start looking out for networking. Start seeing who is it that can actually influence you and encourage you. That for me is quite pivotal and very important. Also, Technology is a space where you have to keep on upskilling. You have to keep learning. So be curious, keep learning technology and innovation. So you have to keep learning. You have to have that interest to learn, to understand, and be able to go forward in terms of what it is that you're doing. What other thing can I encourage young women? Be persistent. Be consistently good at what you do. Let your work speak for itself. At the same time, be as visible as you can be. 2 or 3 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to people, talking on Facebook Live. I loved being behind my computer in a room, not talking to anyone. But it's not enough. I know, very good at what I do, but it's not enough. So you have to be visible. You have to be out there so that other women, other young girls can see that it's possible. I think that's really, really critical.
Thank you so much for that, Yaza. And Tambi, we just want to get your perspective as well on what you'd encourage the young women who are pursuing careers in tech.
Yaza touched on something very important: mentorship. Mentorship is invaluable. I would definitely encourage the young ladies, even if you're not aware of any groups, but we've talked about women in tech today. Go on LinkedIn, reach out to even men and women who you think can be your mentors. Because at the end of the day, I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? If they say no, move on, get somebody else, And then also the other thing that I'll probably talk about is for us women who are in leadership roles, we need to definitely try as much as we can to help the young ladies with hands-on experience. So this involves, of course, your mentorship, but also where possible, job shadowing. Invite the young ladies to come into the office, let them sort of go through with you, your day-to-day activities. How do you resolve issues? That type of thing, because then that's also invaluable skills experience. Because I think, as we know in tech, it's very difficult to come across internships, although as I've talked about adverts going on today, but it's very rare. And so if we can give women that chance, I think we're setting ourselves up for a good future.
Awesome. I like that you've touched internship, which is then directing me to just get a better understanding of what then work would look like for these young girls and young women when they step into this company and have the opportunity to get that internship or acquire a particular IT role. So, with regards to companies, what steps do you think these companies can take to promote gender diversity in the tech industry, and why do you think doing that is important?
Earlier on, I talked about, or just touched a little bit on unconscious bias. And that's something that I've experienced. So, sometimes people they don't realize that they are gender biased. It's by accident. I think a good example would be, in the workplace, say, like Liaza was saying, in the classroom, there were 4 women. And so let's say out of 20, there are 4 women. And in a meeting setting, the secretary is a woman, right? So it could be a case where the person doing that appointing, they don't realize that that's a biased thing to do. To them, it could be a case of, well, this female employee is very good with taking notes, very good with time management. But as a woman, you say, but wait a minute, why? There are all these men. Why have you picked me? And so for companies, it's time to have those very uncomfortable conversations and also just allow the culture to be open. And this can be through feedback sessions. How people in the company, how do they feel about diversity? Does it exist? And then the people who are directly affected, how do they feel about it? What can be improved? But then also the other thing that companies can do, the culture in an organization is always set by top management, right? So if top management do have that unconscious bias, or they just really are gender biased, then that flows through the entire organizations. And so with companies, what they need to do now is probably, look at senior management. Those at the end of the day are the company influencers. So if the culture at the top involves, just gender inclusivity, for example, then everybody also follow that through. And so it's those two things: have those uncomfortable conversations about gender bias, but also look to the company influencers now to change the mindset in the organizations.
Interesting. Yes, I think I'd want to get your perspective on this as well.
So, for me, it's true. The company culture has to play an important role. So it starts from even things like recruitment. Companies need to be deliberate, even when they're doing the recruitment processes, to ensure that there's diversity. When it comes to policies, procedures, make sure that people are getting fair compensation. Let it be the same. Why should I get less money than a man? It should be the same, so those procedures should be put into place. Tambi touched a little bit about senior management. Yes, managers should be accountable. You put in these policies. It's all nice on paper. Everyone has signed. Everyone has agreed in a room. This is what we're going to do. Who is then looking to ensure that these things are being carried out? Who is accountable to say, yes, this is actually what is happening on the ground? And I think also, lastly, the culture of the organization has to change. There has to be a mindset shift in terms of diversity. And I know we're talking mainly about women in technology here, but we all know that the gap in when it comes to gender in the workplace is there. Doesn't matter which kind of unit or department it's in. Then for me, I always say the gender gap is there. Then you add a sprinkling of technology to that equation, and can you believe that it gets bigger? So really, it's up to the organizations. I think they have to take charge. They have to be accountable, and they have to be held accountable to see that this thing is working and being put into practice. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for those wonderful responses. And maybe just to go into the product development route, I think we're talking about gender diversity and inclusivity. So, how then do we ensure that the new technologies we're having, with the evidence that maybe there are very few women who are presented in the product development roles, so maybe it's mostly the men who are developing products, and throughout from research of the product to development, you might either find only one female or no female at all. So what do you think can be done to ensure that even as these technologies are being developed, they are also gender diverse and gender inclusive?
Okay, thanks. Again, going back to the topic of bias. So, with tech, innovation, products or services are being created for consumers. And women are part of that consumer group. So if you don't have women being represented, whether you're developing your AIs and whatnot, companies are going to miss out, in my opinion, tapping into that particular market. And so we have to be deliberate again to make sure that women are included. Another thing, just kind of sort of digressing, that also just ties into what you've just asked me. If you think about it, especially in tech, I've had this experience and I've been on interview panels where this happens. Some of the questions that we ask in interviews, even the job description, already you are removing women from that conversation, right? They'll ask women sometimes, this is an IT role. Can you work 24/7? Yes, I'm here, right? No, what if the children start crying? I'm here. Those questions are never asked to men. And, again, I've been on interview panels where these questions do come up, and it can be quite disturbing. So when we're looking at innovation and advancing technology, it starts from the job descriptions. Remove that unconscious bias from those questions. Make sure women are involved, because then, again, going back to the consumer base, if you're going to create products that target women, you should have women be part of the design, be part of implementation, be part of the testing, be part of the deployment. And I think that would definitely cover inclusion.
Yeza, would you also like to say something about that?
So diversity, it adds dimension and also perspective. And what that in turn does is that it drives creativity. So now you're touching on innovation, which is something I live and breathe. So I hope you have a lot of time. Anyway, so no, but seriously, so women are naturally fixers. Women naturally solve problems. So honestly, if you put a woman in the middle of a product development, don't you think that whatever approach they're going to come up with is going to be holistically solving a number of issues, a number of complex issues? With innovation, you increase productivity, you reduce costs, you increase revenue. So surely, why wouldn't you put a woman? Why wouldn't you put women in the middle of your product development? Why wouldn't you put women in the middle of your innovation? I believe, I know statistics maybe do not speak to this, and again, that's another thing, maybe a discussion for another day. We don't even have the data in this country to back this up, but I strongly believe that women are more creative than men. And with that being said, product development is easier. It's more inclusive when women are involved, and you cater for a lot more people in terms of solving for that problem or whatever it is that's being solutioned. So that's my response, and maybe I'm being biased because I'm a woman, but hey, I'm a woman in innovation, so you should listen to me. I think I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, thank you.
Because women in innovation and tech. So I think you have also talked about the role in answering your question, the role that women play in technology and innovation. So maybe currently we may not be able to see some of those opportunities, but how do you see the role of women and women in technology and innovation in the future, evolving in the future, so to say? What does the future look like? Even as we're saying, we don't see it now, but as a woman in innovation and tech, I think you may have a perspective at your standpoint, and yeah, so maybe just to bring out those opportunities and what they would look like in the future for women.
So I use ChatGPT for this question because I was like, what does the future hold for women in technology? So it didn't really help me, didn't give me that much confidence. So I'll tell you how I would like women in technology to be in the future. So first of all, there should not be there should not be a reason when there's a job that's being advertised, or there's a business that needs to be run by a technology business needs to be run, that someone even considers, this is a woman. No. Like what Tambi said. Why should you even think about it? It should not be happening. Um, the future is that women should have equal pay when it comes to technology. It doesn't matter whether I'm a man or whether I'm a woman. I should be able to get the same amount of money. I should be able to run a business as the same as a man. There should be no one coming up to me and saying, "Oh, you can't do this because you're a woman, because you have a husband. Who's going to look after your husband? Who's going to look after your children?" It doesn't matter. It's about competence. And so for me, that's what I would like to see in the future for women in technology. I want a situation where we don't have to worry about, oh, this there's only two people, there's only two women in a classroom. Why should that be the case? Why can't women then see, we're sitting here, Tambiana is sitting here. Why can't the women who are watching, or the little girl who's out there who wants to start studying maths and science, and say, if those women can be sitting up there, why can't I be the one also sitting there? Why can't I be the one running a technology unit or be a technology professional? So that's the future for me. I want women should not feel that I'm a woman, I cannot do this. We should have equal opportunities as they arise. We should be able to do exactly what it is that men can do. And mind you, we're not competing. Even when I sit here, I may sound a little bit like I'm fighting, but I'm not. I mean, honestly speaking, all we want is equal opportunity. We are competent. We're able to do whatever it is that anyone else can do, and that's the future. That's what I would want to see in the future. And ChatGPT didn't help me with that.
Okay, at this point, I would like for you, Tambi, to answer this question, but from a more specific perspective, and that is more on the security side. I know IT is diverse. We have different tracks that a person can pursue, because in IT just don't need to program. And I know there may be people in here or people who are watching, and for them it's just specifically security. And it may feel like it's not really a part of tech, but it's just something that's there to support and just make sure our technologies are more secure. But on the infosec side of things, what does the future really look like for women? And what opportunities and challenges do you think they may face in the information security sector specifically?
Well, dare I say the glass ceiling has been broken? Look, I think the future is bright. It's important that we're having these conversations. So there's already awareness going out. But also, I want to believe that schools, probably, primary schools now will try and be deliberate with the courses concerning computing. So, in my time, without giving my age away, like I said, there wasn't any course that was designed to show me that there are different avenues in tech. It was just almost like a survival course in computing. Type, use Word, use Excel, you can use a computer. But I think going forward, I think even now we can see that there is Python programming for kids, which is nice. I don't like programming, but that's nice. It's for kids. But it's, again, information security tech is so diverse. You can get into compliance, you can get into the legal aspect, you can get into just network security, you can get into software development, you can get even into innovation. And so, as we're sitting here having these discussions, it's my hope again that women can see the door is open. You have so many options. It's not just programming. If programming is free, that's perfect. But if you're like me and that's your weakness, you have so many options, to go through. So in terms of challenges, I want to believe somewhere in future, and I think I'm paraphrasing, I think it was Sheryl Sandberg, the former COO of Facebook, who said something along the lines of, in future, we will be talking about just leaders. It won't be, men or women. It would just be leaders. And so with that, again, I think the future is very bright. Awareness is being done. We're having these honest conversations. They can be very uncomfortable, but then it would just definitely give women and girls out there just that outlook to say, look, I don't have to stick to one thing. There's you can get, whether it's forensics, there's so many things that you can do. It's really diverse, and it's really your playground.
I'll give this question back to you. So, I think talking about things that women in tech still do not know, are basing decisions on misconceptions. So maybe just to clearly highlight, based of your experience and maybe what you have learned along the way, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about women in technology and innovation? And maybe share some tips of how you overcome them, because for you to be here now, it means you have skipped all those hurdles. So maybe just share a bit about that. So somebody who may be experiencing those challenges now, or maybe believing in some of those misconceptions, is having the challenges. So maybe some of those tips will be helpful for that individual.
Okay. Yaz and I had a conversation about this. See how different we're dressed. We're both in tech, but I think one of the biggest conceptions is there's a certain look if you're in tech. Some people talk about, the nerdy glasses or, the hoodie. Yeah, no. So, there isn't, that's just on a lighter note. With tech, I don't think there's really a blueprint. You kind of pick, like we said, we didn't have women to up to. Coincidentally, we both had our dads bring us into tech. But, our journeys are different, but we're sitting here today, right? And so some of the misconceptions also that I have faced as well is the fact that, you're a woman, you can't work late, you can't work late hours. And like Yaza was saying, unfortunately, we've had to prove ourselves. There are times where I can be sitting, when I was, in my previous roles, I'd sit in a meeting room and be very timid. I'm the only female there. There's nothing I can say. No one will take me seriously. And I'd always sit right at the edge of the table, so I'm not noticed. So it took a while for me to now kind of like change my mindset and say, okay, if I want to grow, because there's somewhere I want to be in X number of years, but then that means being taken seriously in these meetings. What do I do? So I started moving to the center of the table. And even at times it scared me to, put my hand up and say something. And I wasn't always right, but that also built my confidence. But it also made me realize that if I'm invited to these meetings, I have earned a seat at this table. So if I'm quiet, it's a disservice not only to myself, but to everybody else who's coming behind me. And so, I think the other misconception that's there is kind of ties into my last point is this notion of, you need to work very, very hard. And work very, very hard means late hours. No. When I was in university, one of my favorite lecturers always talked about, you need to work smart. Your generation's about working smart. Your parents' generation was about working hard, which meant being, workaholics, and it was something to be proud of. And so I came in thinking I need to work smart. But I've realized over time that it's actually a combination of both. It's a hybrid. It's hard work and smart work. Yeah. And so, again, it's at every angle you go, we're still fighting these misconceptions, even to this day. I was sharing earlier on how I've had meetings with companies here and they've just assumed I'm a man. So in the meeting, they would address me as Mr. Karima. And then I'm like, surprise, I'm not, I'm a woman, sorry. So, there's still that misconception that, leadership roles in tech are only done by men. And again, back to Yazo's point, we are still fighting to prove ourselves. But one of the ways that misconception now is kind of being handled is having allies as men. That's very important. We're talking about gender bias for women. We can't remove men from this equation. It's very important to have allies as men because they are the people who can get into rooms and, sing your praises. People might not notice you there in the meeting, you're quiet, but if there's somebody at the top who recognizes your skills, who understands that, you're a hard worker, you're passionate, and, you deliver, that can take you places where, if we're having this conversation, it probably won't go. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Tambi. I think that's very insightful, and I believe everybody who's hearing has had a bit of challenges or was maybe unsure of what to do because of some of the things you've heard or some of the things you've read. I hope that was very helpful. Again, we'll have a segment for questions and answers. If there's something that was not clearly defined for you, you still have the opportunity to ask. So for you, Yaza, how can women in technology and innovation support each other and build a community to foster great success?
Okay. Number one, join Women in Technology Association. Yeah, but yeah, seriously speaking, I think I want to give a little bit of context of how I know Milimo spoke a bit about how we started, but what happened is that during COVID, there were five of us women, Kapesas there, Chambi, myself. We were sitting, meeting almost, I think it was every 2 weeks, discussing how can we change then we realized there was another group of women, Minimo and Jessie, who also had the same vision. We said, okay, let's just join forces. Let's not have a separate women in technology side, separate man side. No. The same mission. And that's how we came together, and that's how we've come up with this association. So supporting each other is absolutely critical. No one is going to do it for us if we don't do it for ourselves. So I always say, and I always make it a point, that I will celebrate every single woman. Even if it just means putting a little emoji on the chat or writing something on their LinkedIn or deliberately picking up a call when somebody needs help and connecting them to the right people. I know a lot of people, guys. Let me not even lie. And the people I don't know, there's someone in between them who I'll get to that person. So I'm able to connect people. Network. Your network is your net worth. I digress. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, so for me, I believe it's absolutely critical that we take this journey forward as women in technology network, and especially for the young women and especially for the young girls. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much for that. And I think for my last question, this one goes to both of you. I think Tambi, you can be the first person to answer this. With other aspects of your life, do you manage to strike that?
Important. Yeah, no boundaries. But also, for me, time management is very crucial between the two. And so, like what I normally do every Friday is I set out my plan for work for the next week. Achieve them. And so I manage that within my hours at work. So my hours at work, those are my hours at work. Outside of work, my personal life is a very big boundary between the two. They do overlap sometimes. You know, it does happen. Maybe something has happened, an emergency, and I need to work late, for example. But I'm very particular about the two boundaries. Work is work. My personal life is life. But also just to keep me sane. You know, like you did say in my intro, I am an adrenaline junkie, so I'm always looking for something exciting, something to make me feel like I'm alive. But also, you know, I start my day normally, and I know Yazo will say something. I start my day at 4 in the morning because I work out. So my workout, then I get into my job, and then my personal life. But with my working out at the ungodly hour, a lot of creativity does come out. There's sometimes where I've got maybe like a writer's block with a report, and when I'm working out, an idea pops up and quickly get onto my phone. But yeah, no boundaries for me. It's that's pretty much how I have balanced the two. And it's also just very critical because I have experienced burnout, and that's like the worst thing you can do, especially if it's something you love, your job, and you experience that burnout because you're not managing your time well. It's a terrible thing to do. So that taught me to separate the two and just have the boundaries. So work is work. That's my time, allocated time. Personal time is completely different.
Fantastic. Yes, your boundaries.
Yeah, so I prioritize a lot. Do what I feel is important, and the things that are not so important, sometimes I just don't do them. So yeah, so I'm very deliberate like that. I'm also I consider myself a very organized person. So I use a lot of tools. I'm in IT after all, so I use a lot of technology to organize myself. I I don't do paper. I hate paper. So a lot of my things are on my iPad, on my phone, and so I'm very organized. Even just the coffee meeting, I'll put it in my calendar, or even it doesn't matter what it is. I'll put it in my calendar. I have I'm doing a small course, and I have to remind myself every evening to study. So I've put a timer and a reminder to study, because otherwise I won't do it and I just won't hand in my assignments. But yeah, and then the other thing for me as well is self-care. I I work for Stanbic between 8 and 5. Of course, I'm yet to meet anyone in a technology role that ends at 5. If there's someone out there, please put up your hand. So it doesn't always end at 5. So there's always work after 5 and so on. But and then after 5, I do other things. I've got businesses. I've got my daughters. They're a handful. I've got a spouse. I've got siblings. I've got a father. I have so much that I still need to make sure that is organized and is operating as optimally as possible. So sometimes I get overwhelmed, and then I tell myself, look, it's too much. And to Tambi's point, you get burnt out. I remember in December, I was a zombie. I don't even know how I got through December holidays. I was so burnt out from 2022. But I've told myself this year I'm not going to allow that to happen again. So I'm planning my life a little bit better. I'm thinking about myself. I come first. Self-care. It's very important. Exercising, Itambi, you need to help me with exercise. I'll get there. Yeah, but I'm trying to eat better, trying to exercise once in a while, but I'll get there. And obviously also mental health is very important as well, especially in this day and age. So my mental health is also important. I make myself motivated. I do a lot of positive things for myself, things that make me happy, and it's a deliberate thing. I think as you get older as well, you realize that there's certain things that are more important than others. And maybe if I can just say, time with family cannot be replaced. Time goes, and you before you realize it, it's gone and it can't come back. So for me, that's priority. Always prioritizing. Thank you.
I'll just request a round of applause for our speakers. Personally, I have learned so much being here moderating, multitasking, listening, and moderating. Yeah, I personally have learned so much, and I hope it's been the same for you. Like I mentioned, I'm sure there are those burning questions. There could be a response that was given that opened up your mind to something that you'd want to learn. It can be a personal experience about something that you went through and you're not able to get over it, or something that you're currently going through now and you're trying to just make ends meet. You don't know what the next step is. So I'll leave it open for questions and answers. I'll ask anybody from our technical team to just help in case their hands and then would need. Yeah. Awesome. So have our first three hands. You could start with with her, and then we'll go with the mic.
Thank you. My name is Namwande, and I am a non-tech founder of a tech business.
Oh.
And I'm here because I'm very interested. On the 13th March, I discovered there's a Women in Tech Network. And as somebody who has gotten into this business without the technical knowledge, I've struggled. I have a vision. I know what I want to achieve. I know my market. But there are aspects of the business that I just don't get. And so for me, I think there's two sides to women in tech. There's the side of the women who are technically with tech backgrounds, and then the women who run and own tech businesses. And so I really appreciate coming here, and I've come here for you because I have questions, and I need to find a network that I can create an advisory board to speak into my business because I'm making financial decisions that are costing me. I'm also not sure about how best to also drive the tech agenda for women because I'd like to see more women. And so it's twofold. Number one is the aspect of women who are running tech businesses without the knowledge. Please help us to find pools of technical experts, and particularly women, who we can draw on for advisory boards. And when we get to revenue generation, executive boards. And I'm a serial entrepreneur, so this is my third business. I pivoted during COVID. And then my second point is when it comes to internships and mentoring as well, I think there's something around think about partnering with the tech businesses as well that are owned by women. Because I would love to offer an internship from somebody, because my current problem right now is product design. We are a leadership assessment solution. The market is dominated by Western solutions and we're disrupting. We've developed one of the first African leadership assessment solutions. And for me, it would be great to be on this journey and bring others up as well. So I know I've taken the conversation in a slightly different direction, but I think we have the same vision and shared agenda. Thank you.
Your words, such things excite me. Like, I'm so excited. I'm really excited, and thank you for saying what you've just said, and I'd like to commend you for entering into tech and you don't have that background. That's amazing, amazing. So another thing, I think what we didn't mention, yes, we're sitting here and we're talking about that we're career women, but at the same time, we are, as women in technology, we drive the techpreneur side of things. So entrepreneurship is important. In fact, for me, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I think entrepreneurship in technology is even more important than working an 8 to 5 job. Because when you become an entrepreneur, a techpreneur, you then open up more avenues. You hire more people. You will change more people's lives. And if you can hire more women, one of my dreams has always been to own a company that's just full of women, a technology company. From the driver to ever should be women. And I don't even apologize for it. I'd love to do that. And it's always been a dream. It may be a reality one day. It will be, I'm sure. But that's the direction we need to go. So thank you for that. And we're here. Your advisory board is here. You can see us. We're here. So we can help you. We can speak to you after this. We're totally exciting. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kabasa. I'm also a member of Women in Technology Network. Ladies, I really enjoyed that. When I was coming here, I was like, oh, I've probably heard this story so many times. I know what time it's gonna say, but honestly, like I was listening so attentively, like, oh wow, like it was so interesting, and I learned a lot again. Now, I hope I don't, digress the conversation, but I think the thought I had, and I thought it would probably benefit women in the room, young women especially, or just women looking to upskill or change careers and so on, was that one of the barriers you mentioned was, I don't know if you mentioned it, but there's the whole men get paid more than women. And what I find is that I don't have the statistics to back this, but I do know that usually when there's a job advertisement, men will go in and negotiate for the pay that they want, as opposed to women who generally accept or even accept something lower, for fear of I might lose the job or the opportunity might be given to someone else and so on. And I know, Yaza, you touched on companies being proactive in setting up policies, and also, Tambi, you said don't sit at the back of the room but make yourself known and speak up. But I just wanted both of you to answer these two questions. What causes women to do that, and how can we break those barriers, so to speak, so that we are demanding and getting equal or even more pay, and especially what we deserve for the skills that we have. Thank you.
Yeah, you want to go for it? Or? Okay.
That's a great question, Kapesa. Have you read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg? Yeah, that's a chapter in her book. Very interesting. She actually highlighted that women typically tend to, like exactly what you said, when it comes to negotiating salaries, we are, I'm worth 100,000 kwacha. And then you're told, well, this job pays 20,000. And then we'll be like, well, okay, I guess, okay. But like you said, men will be like, well, it's, you pay 20,000, you're going to give me 80,000. And they get that. So I think it now goes back to what I talked about in terms of like the example I gave about the job interviews. So there has to be some sort of awareness, even with HR. Level the playing field. If I am qualified, he is qualified, why should the pay be different? And I know they'll start looking at things again, no, because she's a woman, what if she gets married or, she falls pregnant? But you don't ask those questions of men. It's okay. And then they also have that confidence. I'm not putting men down. It's just it's just being factual. You're able to, because you understand your value, you understand what you're worth. So you just put your foot down and say, you pay 20,000, I want 80,000. But then with us, we're kind of like, we need to be humble. If that's all they're offering, that's what we need to get. So for me, that conversation has to be had with HR. There has to be some sort of awareness at that level as well. So starting from the job description itself, the job shouldn't be geared towards a certain gender, works long hours, for example. You're already removing me from that conversation, because then I feel like, well, I can't do that. I have family, I have all these things and whatnot. And so, yeah, for me, it's definitely the HR aspect has to change. There has to be awareness from that level. But also when we get into mentorship, like we've talked about, there's you, there's me, there's everybody here, all these women who are here. If we can share these experiences with these young ladies, we will build the confidence. We can also give them tips in terms of preparing for interviews. For example, there was somebody who actually mentored me, a man actually. He actually told me when it comes to negotiating salaries, you should not share what you're currently getting. You've already lowballed yourself there. So make sure that you have the skills, you have the experience to back up the figures that you want, for example. So yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Kapesa, you asked why are women like that? I think it really boils down to, I think culture has a big part to play. Hey? We grow up in our homes. Okay, some of us we I hardly even spent time in the kitchen, to be honest. I only learned how to cook a few years ago. But anyway, yeah. So, but you see, our culture tells us a girl should be in the kitchen. You like maths? Maths is for boys. Forget about maths. Just be in the kitchen. Who's gonna cook? Who's gonna look after your siblings if you're busy doing this math stuff? So it starts from that. And then it also starts from, our culture is we have to be the quiet ones. We have to be the submissive ones. It's actually it's crazy if you really think about it. However, to what Tambia said, young women need to see women like us, women who are assertive, women who can actually stand up for themselves and learn to ask, learn to say what it is that you want to say. I will tell you now, I was not an assertive person. I don't know how I even ran IT departments, and I remember my first job, I was heading IT in an NGO. I was 29 years old, but I managed to do the work, and I'm thinking, how did I manage that job? But you learn, you get into that, you step up. You can make mistakes, crystallize that mistake, and use it as a step to go into the next level. So I think I don't know. It's young women. They need to be able to understand that you have to speak up. I'll give you an example. My daughter is 13. She'll walk into my room and she'll say something, and I tell her, "Mama, I can't hear you. Speak from here. Speak from." And no one told me that. I had to learn it now while I'm in the corporate world. But if I'd known about it earlier, yeah, I don't know where I'd be. Maybe I'd be president of Zambia, But you know what I mean? We have to be able to tell these young women, to mentor them, to tell them, look, I was like you, but look where I am today. And even we've both said this. We didn't have any of these people when we were progressing in our careers, and I can't imagine where we'd be right now. Maybe would be CEOs of Meta and things like that. But yeah, we are where we are now. We shall then move from this point forward. I want to get to a point where somebody, when I stop working where I'm working, and a woman applies, no one is going to say, "Well, a woman managed this." They'll say, "There was a chick called Yaza who did this job and she did it well. So why can't this other girl also do it?" So that's the point where we need to get. So women, you can do it. You can be assertive, even if you grew up being humble, and you can change because the environment, the ecosystem demands it. We have to be different. We cannot be humble. We have to be assertive. We have to be.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Musonda. I'm a computer science graduate. So my question is pretty straightforward. So you said you're in innovation now, and she says she has a master's, I think, in cybersecurity. So for someone, so for someone like me, it ends up being that I was exposed to all, I would say, or not all, but most fields in technology. So you have web development here, you have mobile app development there, and you have all these other fields. So how do I decide then which field I want to branch into? Because if you look at, I would say, if you look at today's network or just the direction in which the world is going, everybody is going to eventually have an online platform. So if I say I want to do web development, someone's going to say, oh, for you to do web development, you need to know so and so and so and so. But then if you look at I would say, the technical field, they'll tell you, somebody doing computer science like I did will tell you, oh, you need to know web programming languages like HTML and CSS and whatever and whatnot. And then somebody else who did, I would say, cybersecurity or the like will say, oh no, you just can't do that. You need to also know how to protect.
and make sure that every user who comes to this is protected, the information is not used there and there, and so on. So my question is basically, how do I decide which field I go into despite being exposed to so many different fields? And how do I know I fit in there?
What are you passionate about? What do you when when you go to sleep, you're still thinking about it. When you wake up, that's what you want to go and do. That's what you should go into. Because I'll tell you now, technology is hard work. Okay? Women in technology, hey, we need to pat ourselves on the back. It's a lot of work, but you have to enjoy it. If you can enjoy it, it makes it easy work, makes it enjoyable work. So what are you passionate about? Discover what you're passionate about. There's data, there's cyber, there's so much. There's innovation. Please, there's project management. There's so much. So discover what you're passionate about, and everything will fall into place. And by the way, Tambi mentioned technology is so diverse. You can switch, and for me, I've headed IT, the whole department. I've run project management offices. Today I'm driving digital transformation. I'm doing innovation. Hey, I'm even thinking of doing a PhD in data. You can do anything. That's the beauty about technology. But be passionate about what it is that you want to do, and then everything falls into place.
Perhaps I can add to that. Thanks. One thing you need to pursue is try to get internship. We're here to provide the platform. We can open doors for you for internship so that you get hands-on, you have that experience in the workplace. Then you definitely know where you fit in. And indeed, as Yaza said, um, I've also been all over the place. I'm a software engineer. That's my background. But the last time I programmed was 9 years ago. From there, I moved into mobile money. I moved to project management. I'm now under innovation, and I'm likely to move again. And I'm doing it deliberately because I'm setting a stage for myself, for something greater. So internship would definitely open your mind, will give you that experience that you need so that then you know exactly where you belong. So don't despair. There's a lot of hope.
Just one last thing, just adding on to Yazo's point about passion. So when you figure out what it is you want to do, something that you're very good at, that, like she said, you think about it when you wake up during the day and whatnot. So if you run your own business or if you're going to be employed, you will be excited every day to do that thing. So please be intentional. Right? Talk to any one of us. We can try and guide you, but please be intentional. Just make sure, pick something that you really love to do. As the saying goes, if you love to do something, it won't feel like a job.
Good evening. My name is Pascalina Mpulenga, and I'm part of the Women in Technology Network. And as a young girl, as I studied ICT, I didn't know what I wanted. Then the school organized for people to come and give talks in different fields. There were a lot of men, and I think, was there one woman or two women? I think I remember Tambi being the only woman there. Then from there, hearing what she said, I picked what I wanted to do. Since first year, I went all excited and told my dad about it, and he told me, research where you can do it from. But now my question is, how do you handle rejection as you are building your career? I'm looking at the career that I want to do. I want to do a career in cybersecurity, and I just recently learned that there are different fields. But then, how do you handle rejection? Looking at so many things that I keep applying for. I applied for boot camps. I applied for this, and that. And I was excited in November when I was accepted into a cybersecurity boot camp. But unfortunately, because of the network glitch, I could not do the interview after doing, I think, 3 steps of the application. I answered quizzes. I did my research and everything, but because network was bad, I didn't get the interview. And that really broke me this year. But how do you handle rejection that you can still do it? I'm a confident person. I know what I want. I will not settle for less. But at times, rejection just gets to bring you down. How do you handle rejection, even when you have mentors? I've chosen to have mentors in women in technology. I ask questions on how do I dress for an interview, how do I handle this interview, how do I, and by the way, if you are a young lady and still haven't yet joined the network, you are missing out on a lot. Because there are so many opportunities I get to receive, and I am mentored on how to handle them. Kapesa, who just walked out, she gets to inform me on how I should handle myself, how I should carry myself in interviews, how I should do certain things. Because if you don't ask, you will not know. You might mess up even where you are not supposed to mess up. And you might even achieve more. So if you join the network, it will really help you. Like it's helping me. But then my biggest question is, how do you handle rejection? Who wants to go first?
Thanks, Pascalina. I've had so many no's in my life concerning my career, honestly. And you're right. It's painful. It's hard, especially when you're confident that this is the one I'm going to get it. One thing that I started doing a bit later on is when I get the no. In a job interview, sometimes there's somebody that you click with on a panel, especially if it's physical. I've reached out to that person to say, okay, where did I fall short? Right? Where can I grow? And so I take those, you kids call it what, L's? I take those L's. They really are lessons. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. It's a lesson, right? One of the biggest jobs I thought, this is mine, this is mine, this is my job. I'm scoring 100%. And I didn't get it. And one thing I've noticed in Zambia is you're even lucky if they tell you you didn't, right? You're very lucky. They'll just ghost you. So I was ghosted and I was waiting. I'm like, but I did so well and, I did all my research. But the one thing that I missed out on, they'd asked me a very simple question. And because I was overthinking, I went above and that kind of disqualified me. So that person, that was almost 8 years ago. That person I reached out to on the panel is not only my mentor, but a very good friend of mine. And so even when I'm stuck in my job, I don't know, I look like I know everything, but I don't. I reach out to that person and they're able to help me. So it is part of life, unfortunately. Some people are actually lucky, eh? Sometimes it's a yes, and, Bob's your uncle. But for a lot of us, those no's, as painful as they are, take that as it's a lesson. Okay, so what did I do wrong? And like I said, if you want to reach out to somebody on the panel that you connected with and just ask them, I want to do better. Where did I fall short? What were my strengths? But even you, sometimes you can also tell, okay, I wasn't ready. That question they asked me, and whatnot. But I like your confidence. If I'm not mistaken, she was actually the ICTA's president, at UNZA. It's a very powerful young lady, this one. Watch out for her.
I've also had many, many no's. Many. There was in a time I cried tears when I didn't get a job. And yes, it's horrible, it's painful. But guess what? You need to just learn from that. Have a growth mindset. Look up growth mindset, read up on it, on how you can just learn from whatever it is that didn't go right. And then don't despair. Don't give up. Do not do that, whatever happens. I'll give you once upon a time in my life, because I'm a very organized person. So I'd be applying for jobs, applying, and I'll put them in folders on my computer. Every single job I'd put in a folder within the name of the job. I had maybe 35 folders. I kept trying. 35, I just kept going. I am one person. Even in life, I've had stumbling blocks. I've had obstacles, but I've told myself I'm gonna keep at it. You have to just keep at it. Do not give up. You have to keep at it and use the network. Use and not only women in technology network. Build your network. Start building your network. You are even fortunate that you have us in your life. We can help you. We can help you as much as we can help you. So please don't despair. That face I'm seeing is not the face I know. I know you're so bubbly, and please do not despair. Keep at it. Don't give up. Something will come through. I promise you. I promise you. Yeah.
So we'll take her hand and then we'll go with him after. Yeah. So you can. Oh, you have a question as well. Okay. So you can just pass it that way, and then we'll have them.
My name is Davis. I'm marketing manager for Optic Train Logistics. So basically, we are a logistics platform that helps people source and ship goods from China. So we realized that 90% of our clients now have been women. So just a few days ago, we were trying to get these women into getting their business onto the digital platforms and turning their business into online stores. But coming from men, it was a challenge because we have a group that has over 500 women and they are selling handbags, they are selling different kinds of clothes. And we're trying to convince them to say, you can turn these into tech businesses, you can go online, you can start selling online. But coming from a team that is made of male uh, counterparts, it was difficult to convince them. So when I saw this, I told my team that I'd have to come here to ask this question to say, how do we convince these women to say that? Strategic. Them selling because they are already selling online because most of them will be selling on Facebook, Instagram, and all that. But we are living into, I know like Shopify now is big in the US. So we are waiting for such platforms in Zambia and in Africa. But at the moment, before we can have those platforms, there are easier ways that someone, even without coding, they can actually create a website and sell online. So for us, we are offering them these skills for free, telling them we can help you throughout the whole process by just convincing them to say this is the next big thing is a difficult thing to do. So I was wondering, as women and as people in tech, how do we tell these women to say this is the next thing to do once you are running a business in e-commerce?
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So from an innovation angle, I think the best way and what I think works is, as you innovate, as you produce products, services, we also have to have an adoption side of things. So with that, there's aspect of change management. So it gets a little bit complex. But to put it just simply, they have to see the benefit of what it is that you're proposing. If you have, and then you also have to try it out. So you have to have like a pilot. So maybe you have 5, 10 of them who are willing, then the others see it. My friend is making money, minting money. It's let them see the benefit, and then they'll all jump on board. So I'm not sure if that has happened, but you make it deliberate and you make the other ones be the ones who are now advocating. They're speaking out and showing that I'm now making more money. I'm now getting more customers. It's easier for me to manage my money. My money is not going missing, and so on. So I think that's for me, maybe that's the easiest thing you can do. Otherwise, you can partner with Women in Technology Network, and we can see how we can work together. Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, I think that's when I look at it from a product development side and innovation side, I think that's probably the quickest way you can deal it. Yeah, but well done. I think it's a brilliant initiative, very commendable. We need to build techpreneurs. Yeah.
Would you like to take that question as well? It's fine. Okay. So right after her, you go with the question. I think we don't have any other hands after that.
Hello, everybody. My name is Angela. I just want to first off say kudos for a fantastic panel. I really am enjoying every single minute of this. In the spirit of also networking, let me tell you a bit about myself. I graduated university in 2020 and essentially just came into lockdown. There was nothing for me to do. No one was hiring. So I, just like I've heard a lot of stories in this room, had to pivot. My background is in computer science. That was my degree, specifically with software development and web development, both of which I didn't really care much for after going through all the motions and coding websites and such. I was just not really into it. So I pivoted into graphic design. I first started with web development, then I pivoted to graphic design just so I can try something new. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've moved up a bit. I worked a 9 to 5 as a software tester and developer for a bit. I quit that because I did not like it. Now I'm working as an entrepreneur and running my own startup business, consulting for other SMEs and so on. So right now I'm in project management and graphic design. But I'm trying to pivot towards technical writing because I think that's a niche that can really be filled in the Zambian market. So specifically, I've noticed that devs can talk to devs and BAs can talk to BAs, but they don't know how to talk to each other. So I'm thinking it would be a really cool thing, especially after working in the 9 to 5. It was what I considered easy solves ended up taking us into 3-hour meetings over and over and over again during our sprint plannings that I didn't think were necessary. So that's kind of where I want to pivot to. My question to you is, within your own UBA and Stanbic, right? Do you see a need for technical writing right now in the work you're currently doing? I know that companies as large as yours tend to have to do those things in-house, but I'm specifically talking about NGOs, donor-funded NGOs who get money, for example, from the USA, GIZ, etc., funded, but when they're handing over work to the Zambian government, they don't have manuals, they don't have technical stuff that they can hand over to. So that's kind of where I'm aiming at. Is this idea making sense as people who have been in this industry for long enough? What do you think? And secondly, do you consider yourself lifelong learners? And if so, how are you implementing that right now? I know you spoke a bit about studying in the evenings and you have to kind of really try your best to organize yourself. But yeah, those are my two main questions. And yeah, thanks so much.
Great. Okay.
Okay. I'll start with the last question. I consider myself a Steve Jobs cadre, right? One of my favorite quotes is "Stay hungry, stay foolish." And to me, what that means is, look at stay hungry is the aspect of continuous learning because you don't know everything. And like Yaza said, this is an ever evolving industry. So what you learned 10 years ago, it's irrelevant right now. You need to move on. I'm happy that you didn't like software development. Found an ally. but what I've done is I have slowly, I've considered defeat. I'm like, okay, it's a necessary skill, right? So even if I didn't like it, even in my job now, I still have to understand coding, right? So coders can't lie to me. I might not be advanced because I didn't like it, but I understand. And so continuous learning is very, very important. Always stay curious, always stay hungry, always stay foolish. The first question that you asked, yes, that is very important. I think when you look at tech, there's nothing that you can say is not important. Every aspect is necessary. It doesn't matter which sector you're in. Everything just cuts across the board. What is in the private sector most times could be advanced. Let's just be honest. The things that we do that are not being done in the public sector. So I think you probably might find your niche in there as well.
Yeah, so I run an agile project office in Stanbic. Yeah, so sprints, iterations. That's our daily. That's how we work. So you're very right. Product owners, the guys implementing, the testers, you have to keep talking to them. People are not getting it. They're not understanding it. You keep going. Some things can take a shorter period of time. if somebody can be the one in between to make sure that people are aligned. So definitely, I see that as very critical. And to your point, when these other NGOs or whatever entities do, the biggest problem right now is that government are not able to grasp or quickly move on to different kind of systems, or and that's why I think the digital transformation in this country is slow. Okay. So you are needed. You just, I think you just need to figure out how you can help. And I'm big on helping Zambia. I feel as if sometimes I'm a bit constrained just working in one organization. We need to help this country. We need to digitally transform this country. And what you're talking about is absolutely critical in terms of doing that. Well, your second question was about.
Are you a lifelong learner?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm always learning, always, and I think sometimes, I even get I read a lot, so I read anything from, even people just put articles on LinkedIn, or I read so much, and like last year, I think I did something with MIT. This time I'm doing something with the University of Stellenbosch. I'm busy figuring out my PhD. I like to learn because I like my mind to be working all the time, and also I think I like pressure. I don't. If my life is not pressured, I feel as if, why is my life boring? I need pressure. I need to be overwhelmed. So I think I enjoy that as well. I don't know why, but I really like to learn. It's important to learn. If you're in technology, ladies, and you don't like reading, find something else to do. I'm telling you, because like Tambi said, what we learned 10 years ago, my master's, I've got 2 master's degrees. I don't, sometimes I even tell myself I should stop even talking about them because they're irrelevant, to be honest, right now. So I do a lot of certifications. I do a lot around the work I'm doing now. But also I'm very interested in other things as well. So I read a lot. In fact, one of my dreams when I retire, I want to retire on a beach. I want to be wearing pata shorts and a t-shirt, and I want to have books all around me, whether they're on my iPad or whatever. But that's what I just want to read and have no problem. Yeah, so I think it's continuous learning is a must. It's a must. It's working.
All right, okay. Yeah, so my name is Kondwani, and I run a startup, a construction startup. So I'm a civil engineer by profession, and I specialize in structural engineering. So being a startup, I notice one of two things. Every time I go and meet clients, they're like, they either ask me one or two things. Knowing that I'm a startup, they'll probably ask me, are you married? Especially if the contract sum is large. So one time I asked one of my clients why they asked me that question, and they said no, because young guys, you can run away with my money and this kind of thing. So I thought maybe to strike a balance, to also give that confidence and also to create that diversity, and also so that people can trust in our business as we start. I was looking for a female entrepreneur who can likely try to partner with me for a stake in the business, or we can try and split if they're willing to follow the process, how we can move forward. So if there's somebody who's good at IT, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get into the international market, like to provide construction solutions for people in the diaspora. So if there's somebody who's good at IT, you can come, can partner up, can obviously discuss and see what terms are agreeable to both parties. Um, what I really need, or what we need, is at least to disrupt the diaspora market, to have a channel that people in the diaspora out there in England, America, they're always trying to build here, but they find it difficult because mostly people are giving their money to that bricklayers, and they, misusing their resources. So our startup wants to mitigate that loss for people in the diaspora. So now through your network, I know that you know a lot of people, like you say.
Already thinking of someone to connect you.
So we are very open to the idea of working with other people. So for me, if somebody is there and willing to partner up and they're motivated, I'm willing to start a journey with them. Like I'm a motivated individual myself. And so that's the first thing I wanted to say. And then the second thing I wanted to encourage my sister over here, because how I actually started out like doing what I do. I remember I was in second year. Not to digress, I know time is running short. I'll keep it short, 2 minutes. When I was in second year, I happened to have a girlfriend, very beautiful girlfriend. So now this lady, hold on, this lady broke my heart. And so my lecturer noticed that, hey, Kondwani, you're a smart guy. You always answer questions in my class, but how is it that you're not talking anymore? Right? So I explained to him the ordeal. And he says, hey, listen, maybe you need to focus like that pain that you feel. You can change that energy and make it a positive thing, right? Do you know how to, you're saying you want to be a civil engineer. Do you know how to use AutoCAD? I said, no. He says, go and start. So the first month I learned AutoCAD, I got a deal to design a school. And that's how I actually ended up like with the passion to actually follow through to civil engineering. So I think just follow the process and keep going hard, you'll be fine. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, feel free. I think that may be our last hand. Yeah, so we could just give ourselves some time to network, share contacts, and just get to know each other a bit more.
Hi everyone, my name is Emma. I'm a cybersecurity specialist. I work for Zigta.
And you're part of the women.
Yes, yes, I'm part of the Women Technology Network. Amazing panel. Thank you for this amazing and powerful discussion. What I wanted to find out from either of you ladies is what I always, this just bothers me. Um, we have opportunities. I know people have been moving into a direction where they're trying to make things inclusive, to sort of bring in diversity. Others are doing it just to show, but obviously we try and take advantage of that. But you notice that even where opportunities are given to women, they rarely take them up. I'll give you a practical example. And I think I've spoken to Yaza about this. We have an innovation program at Zicta, and we always encourage women to apply every single year. So this is a 3 months program. We actually partnered with Bongo Hive at some point. So in this program, there's even if you don't get to say the final stage, there's a process where they take you into mentorship. You learn different aspects of entrepreneurship. You don't even have to have something that's fully tech. You don't even have to have a tech background. But every single year, the number of applications that come from women actually reduces. And we reached a point like now. So I know the team just started and said, should we maybe change the branding and maybe put ladies on the branding? Like how can we encourage women to take up these spaces? Like, how can we have conversations that will lead to resolutions or solutions to say, like, guys, grants are there. You have USAID grants. I was talking to a friend of mine who works for USAID, and she says they have grants that are specific for women. But most of the time, half of them go back. The money goes back every single year because women are not taking them up. So, yeah, this is my question. How do you think we can work around that? Thank you.
Representation matters, eh? Um, I've met Chewe at Zicta networking. She's in forensics, right? How many people know that there's a woman at Zicta doing forensics? So I think what Zicta needs to do, and you're actually right, you probably need to change things. So I don't know, make a video, put her, for example. So get the women at Zicta who are in tech, who are doing these amazing things. Even yourself, right? You're in cybersecurity, isn't it? Yeah. So then when people see something like that, it's tangible, then they're attracted. Because maybe what happens is they look at Zicta, it's male dominated. And so as a woman already you're like, I don't qualify. But if they know that Emma is at Zicta, she's in cybersecurity, another person's at Zicta in cybersecurity, I think you will see a definite change in that.
So at Stanbic, we do an internal innovation program, and actually Bongo Hive help us drive it, and it is absolutely brilliant. So not everyone is a developer coder, so we don't ask for that. We don't ask for solutions, but we ask for ideas. So it's an ideation hackathon. You should see the women that come on board. It's amazing, and then believe it or not, it's not people at high level in organizations with good ideas. You'll be amazed where the ideas come from. It's so exciting, and the women are so enthusiastic. So, what I think, what can help your innovation program, Zicta, is visibility. Get more women. If you have women who've already been part of that program, I know they have been, because Stanbic has been a sponsor, gold sponsor actually, for the program for like I think 2 or 3 years now. Showcase these women. I know you do great videos when the teams are showcase the women, because I know when the teams are presenting and they're pitching, I think encourage the teams to put women in the forefront. Make these videos. Other women will see that that woman stood up and did that. Why can't I also do it? We're sitting here. This is not I mean, it's not my comfort zone. I don't sitting talking. I'm doing it because I want somebody to see me talking and sit up here. And when we actually got these calls to come and sit here, I said, please let me be the last option. I don't even want to be there because I'm almost like everywhere. Please let somebody else do it. But I'm doing it here because I want someone else to come and do it next time. I want to sit there and be the one asking questions. So that's why innovation, the women who are innovators, we need to actually deliberately look out for them and encourage them. I think that's a different thing that the program should do this year. Find the innovators that were there, that were women last time, do something deliberate to make them more visible. Then that way, believe me, it will be a ripple effect. They'll keep coming. It will build the confidence in the women, and they'll keep coming. Yeah. I can also help, by the way. We'll figure something out.
Awesome. Those were very wonderful questions and responses. From my perspective, we all have our perspectives. And I'll believe for you, I think that was really amazing. Even aside from the conversation, the questions also just opened up the opportunity to learn even more. So thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for your questions. Participation is not always speaking. Even hearing is participation. So thank you for participating in this conversation. So at this point, I will open up for networking. It's not a guided networking session, and like me, I'm a very shy person, honestly, not shy speaking but shy reaching out to somebody just to begin a conversation. But for now, if there's something that makes you uncomfortable, maybe just try to step out, say hi to three new people. Even one is not, no, one is not enough. Let's say at least at least two. Exchange numbers if you can, because like we're talking about supporting each other as women. Already we've had opportunities. If we're taking notes, there's been opportunities come out from this conversation. There's partnership opportunity for her. I'm sure for the question she's asked, she's probably planning something, and the answers she received have probably given her the confidence to keep going. So please, there's always an answer to your question somewhere, and you will not know if you do not ask. So feel free, be intentional, reach out to at least two people and exchange numbers. So thank you so much again for listening. But, okay. Okay, so we'll take, is it a question or just
Okay, so from the Women in Technology Network, Atu and I are in the membership. So for the women that are here and would like to join our network, you can see either Atu or I pass Kalina and come and register with us to join our network. Thank you.
Nice.
I think I missed out an opportunity. Can I speak? Okay, so my name is Esperanza Tebo from the course. I'm a software engineer. And I would like to give feedback to my fellow ladies. Yeah, first of all, I would love to recommend you for coming up, expressing yourself about your fears. Actually, I know what you're going through. Yeah, because I was in the same shoe at one particular time. Yeah, so my advice I would advise you is that technology is so broad. So if you choose to go for web, just go for web. You don't want to do Android, don't do it. Just do what you want. And if you need any help, I'm here. I would be glad to help you. In conversation, yeah, I'm here.
Women supporting women. We're leaving no one behind, please. So, okay, so time to talk to each other now. If there's somebody you've spotted who caught your attention and that person who didn't catch your attention, follow them now, yeah? So, thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, it was a very nice conversation.
Yes, would you want to stop talking? Yes.
Do you need help?
Stop talking now.
Okay. Let's continue.